Alright, so here it is. This next video is going to be very, very extensive. We're going to go over a lot, so I might have to break this into parts. So, an overview of what we're going to discuss in this video. We're going to establish who the Israelites are. Who they are by description. We're going to establish the reasons why these Israelites kept going into captivity. We're going to make it be known what specific sin they were committing, which forced the Most High to remove his protection from us and deliver us into the hands of our enemies. We're going to go over the fact that they kept not his statutes, they kept not his commandments. We're also going to break down the commandments of the Most High and how he desires mercy and not sacrifice. We're going to show how that was the transgression of my stiff-necked forefathers and stiff-necked brews today. We're going to explain how this is the last captivity and how the second Exodus is coming. This particular video is just basically going to focus on who the Israelites are. Why they kept going into captivity, what the transgression was that they kept doing, what was the sin that they kept doing, why did Yahusha have to come to the earth to save the Israelites, why did he come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. All of these things are tied in together with who these people are and what are they purpose, what is the purpose of the Israelites. So that's what this video is going to be about, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're going to start in Genesis 10, Table of Nations, because the whole earth was populated from these three sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Alright, so we know that the Egyptians come from the son of Ham. Let's go ahead and establish that. Just give me just a moment. And we're going to go over a lot of scripture. Stop, Tiger. Stop it. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And just so you are aware, I am in Genesis chapter 10, starting at verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, or I can't pronounce some of these names, so forgive me. And Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families and their nations. And the sons of Ham, and the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, which is Egypt, is renamed to Egypt, Egyptian. So I'm going to go ahead and read verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, and Havaliah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Sabtika. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. Now we're not going to continue to read this. I just wanted to get the basic table of nations out there so you know Ham. Now we're all taught that Ham is dark skinned. We're all taught that. We're all taught that we, as we know who we are now as Israelites, but we were always taught, I was always taught in Christianity, that I come from the lineage of Ham. That I come from the cursed seed of Canaan. That I come from the cursed seed of Canaan. That's what we're taught. Many of us were taught that. Now we all know that Ham is black. Everybody knows Ham is black. And the sons of Ham is Cush and Mizraim, and Put and Canaan. So Mizraim, that word changed to Egyptian or Egypt, Egyptian. Mizraim, Egyptian. They're equal. They're one and the same. So the Egyptians were black. All right. I just wanted to establish that fact. We have to establish that fact that Egyptians are black. All right. And it's a fact. We all know that Egyptians are black, despite what Hollywood and the media and all these false realities have portrayed to us. It is a fact that every single mummy dug up has been 100% black. They have not found a single white Egyptian mummy. They ain't found no European mummy. Now that we have established that, what does the scripture say the Israelites look like? Well, like I said, it's going to be very extensive. So, we're going to go over how a lot of times Hebrews and Egyptians were mistaken for one another because they both were dark-skinned people. They both were so-called proverbial black. Now, we know that Moses blended with the Egyptians. So let's talk a little bit about Moses and how he hid amongst the Egyptians in Pharaoh's house. All right. So we're going to go ahead and read this little passage right here. It's going to be Exodus 2:1-10. And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not any longer hide him, she took for him an ark, bushes or bush rolls, or I don't know what that word is, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked alone by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away, and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses, and she said, Because I drew him out of the water. All right, so a little black baby in Pharaoh's house grew up in Pharaoh's house. Moses was black. He was from the lineage of Levi. All right, and he grew up in Pharaoh's house. We've already established that the Egyptians are black. Pharaoh would have known that this baby was different from everybody around them. They would have known that. He didn't know any better. He didn't know that it was a Hebrew child because the Hebrews and the Egyptians resemble one another. All right? The Hebrews and the Egyptians were constantly mistaken for one another. So let's establish how the Egyptians and the Hebrews were constantly mistaken for one another. So Moses, not only did he grow up under the nose of Pharaoh right in his own house, but when he got older, let's go ahead and get the passage. Let me find out where this is at. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, because I want to be very thorough. I want to be able to provide sources and all of that, so you can look these things up yourself. And you can follow along if you rather do that. I'm gonna put it on the screen for you and all of this, so don't worry. But if you rather look it up yourself, you're more than welcome to do that. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to this passage. This is going to be Exodus chapter 2. Okay. It's going to be Exodus chapter 2, verse 16. We're going to start at verse 16, and we're going to read all the way to 19. Alright? Now, this says, "Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled the thorns to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them, and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel their father, he said, How is it that ye are come so soon today? And they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock." So we established that Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian. But we know that Moses is of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We know that he is an Israelite of the tribe of Levi. Okay? Now Joseph. Let's go ahead and talk about Joseph for a minute. Joseph, he hid among the Egyptians in Pharaoh's house. So there was a famine in the land. And when his brothers came to Egypt and encountered their brother Joseph, they didn't recognize him. He blended in with all the other black people that was there. Everybody was black. So let's go ahead and read it in Genesis 42, 6 through 8. "And Joseph was the governor over the land, and it was that sowed to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed themselves down before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan, to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not." Why didn't they know him? They didn't even recognize him, because he was blending in with everybody else. If Joseph had been white, and his brothers were European, they would have been able to spot him a mile away amongst these black Egyptians, because we already established that the Egyptians, Mizraim, comes from Ham. Ham is dark-skinned. We've already established that. So Joseph is blending in with these Hamites, these Egyptians. And his brothers didn't recognize him because he was just among a bunch of black people. All right. So let's go ahead and deal with the Messiah and how he was hidden in Egypt as well. All right. Because the Messiah, he comes from the lineage of Judah. He comes from the tribe of Judah. He's an Israelite as well. Jesus is not white. He is not a European. That's why we're doing this video. That's why the Father put it on my spirit to break this information down so that we can be crystal clear about who the Israelites are. The Messiah was an Israelite. He was a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Judah. All right. Now we're going to talk about how Joseph and Mary fled to Egypt in order to hide amongst the Egyptians when King Herod was seeking to slay baby Yahusha, who the world calls Jesus. And we're going to read this in Matthew chapter 2, verses 12 through 15. "And being warned of the Most High in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Most High appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Most High by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Now, we have established that the Egyptians were black. And if the Egyptians were black, and the Hebrews were constantly being mistaken for Egyptian, obviously that means they're black. But let's go ahead and hammer this nail in the coffin, okay? Because now we're going to talk about their color. And we're going to go over each and every single passage, each individual passage that mentions their visage, their outer appearance. All right? And it's not going to be in any particular order. It's just the order that it came to me, that is here. All right? And then we're going to start Amos 9:7. Are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, saith Yahuwah? Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Captor, and the Syrians from Kir? Now, we all know that the Egyptians are from the lineage of Ham. They come from Ham. So that means they're black. They're African. All right? The Ethiopians are Africans. And the Egyptians are Africans. The land of Ham is Africa. All right? Now, we're going to go ahead and go to Job 30:30. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. Lamentations 4:8. Their visage, their outer appearance, is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick. Lamentations 5:10. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. Song of Solomon 1:5-6. I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun has looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. Song of Solomon 5:11. His head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. So yeah, we'll even include the hair texture. Bushy and black like a raven. Jeremiah 8:21. For the hurt of the daughter of my people I am hurt. I am black. Astonishment has taken hold on me. All right. Acts 31. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that were called nigger. Is pronounced nigger, and it means black. That word, that term, Niger, which was really Nigger, it means black. And Lucius of Cyrene and Manian, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. All right. So they were first called, they were called nigger. They were called nigger in Antioch. All right. So now we're going to go over what does the Messiah look like? Because it describes him in Revelations 1:14-15. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as the snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. What happens when you burn anything in a furnace? Does it not turn black? Daniel 10:6. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as the lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and a voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. Daniel 7:9. And I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. The only group of people with woolly hair are the so-called Negroes, African American, black men, black women, aka Hebrew Israelites, and Hamites. They have woolly hair as well. But black people have woolly hair. Europeans do not have woolly hair. Black men and women have white woolly hair. When they get older, or even some young people have white woolly hair, but they're black people. So who is white Jesus? Now that we just established that the real Messiah is black. His visage is black and he has woolly hair. So who is white Jesus? Caesar Borgia. And his father is Pope Alexander the 6th or so. I don't know. I don't really know Roman numbers. That's a V and an I. So somebody can help me with that. Whatever that is, I'm guessing that is a 6. Because if I remember correctly, the V is 5. And then the Roman numeral, the I is a 1. So I'm believing that that's 6. But somebody can cross-reference check that for me. The Vatican has pictures, paintings of the real color of the Messiah, which I should be showing right here. You'll be seeing that. Shocking. I know. Do your research. The Most High said that he would send a strong delusion upon the earth. White Jesus, Christianity, religion is all part of the strong delusion. And it is said that one of the first slave ships was called the good ship Jesus. And let's see, the good ship Jesus was one of the first slave ships, it said. Now, many of the Israelites were forced. They were forced to worship white Jesus. They were forced to accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior. They were beaten and they were forced to accept and adopt Christianity. Again, don't believe anything that I'm telling you. Do your own research and question everything that you've been taught, because we've been taught a lot of lies. Okay? So all praises to the Most High that he has awakened me to the truth of my heritage by the Spirit of the Most High. Christianity has enslaved the children of the Most High mentally and spiritually. Many of the children of Israel, which are the Most High's chosen people, are waking up to the truth of their heritage. Christianity has whitewashed the truth. The Bible is black history. Even though the Bible has been polluted and tampered with, there's many lies that's been injected into the Bible to try to keep you diminished, keep you docile. You can't believe every single word that's written in the so-called proverbial Holy Bible. Okay? Because it's basically just a historical record. It's a historical document. It's our record. But it has been tampered with. You need to understand that. You must ask yourself, why are you being taught lies in Christianity? Your pastors are taking advantage of you, and they're using you for your money so that they can get rich. Your churches are a part of this beast system, as your churches have filed for 501c3. They're a 501c3 organization, aka a government-owned business. They are not allowed to tell you the truth, and they know this. Do your own research on Christianity, because this video is not going to be about that. This video is not going to be a breakdown on the history of Christianity and how it has warped the minds of our people. This video is specifically targeting who is the Israelites. Who are the Israelites? Undoubted proof on who the Israelites are. So do your own research on Christianity. Question your religion. Everything that you have been taught. You need to question everything. This is the only way that you will come to understand that you've been lied to. The Father is going to have to lead you into His wisdom, His knowledge, His truth. The truth does go very deep, and it is for the strong-minded people that can handle this. Okay? Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to how the Most High delivers the Israelites from Egyptian bondage. Okay? And let's go ahead and back up a little bit, because we talked about Joseph being over the land, being ruler over the land, and he was over all the food and all of that. He had a lot of power. All right? When Joseph and all the patriarchs died off, Joseph, all his brothers, all of them, when they died off, the Israelites were still in Egypt. They were incubating in Egypt for a while. So they began to adopt the customs of the Egyptians. And during their stay in Egypt, it went from them being seen as that it went from them having status to them being brought really low in the land, and the Egyptians putting heavy bondage on them as the new Pharaoh came into rise. And he didn't know Joseph. He didn't know all the patriarchs and whatnot. And he seen that the Israelites were multiplying on him and that they were a strong people. And so he wanted to devise a plan to diminish the Israelites. So he started enacting heavy bondage upon them and all of these things. So anyway, to make a long story short, and I'm trying not to make this as long as possible, but it's still going to be pretty long. To make a long story short, they're in bondage, okay, under a wicked Pharaoh. And they have learned a lot of things while they were captive in Egypt. All right, so the Most High is going to send a deliverer to Egypt to get His people up out of that harsh bondage. Okay, now the bondage was so harsh that these Egyptians were putting the Israelite babies in the walls. Like, if they weren't building fast enough, they would take their babies and they will build them into the walls. They would press them into the walls. So, like, it was built upon their babies. A lot of their babies died in the walls of as they were building for the Egyptians. Very, very, very demonic, to do that. All right, so the Most High is going to send Moses to get the Israelites up out of captivity. All right, and this is going to be Exodus chapter 2, 11 through 25. And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to them that did wrong, Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, Who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me, and thou killest the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, Surely this thing is known. And when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. And so this is that story again about how Moses is mistaken for an Egyptian. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and skip because I've already read that. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and skip down to 23, verse 23. So it's chapter 2, verse 23. And it came to pass in the process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto the Most High by reason of the bondage. And the Most High heard their groaning, and the Most High remembered his covenant with Abraham and with Isaac and with Jacob. And the Most High looked upon the children of Israel, and the Most High had respect unto them. Okay, now, give me just a moment. Let me make sure I'm in the right place here. Because we're going to go over one of the signs that the Most High gave to Moses in order to convince the children of Israel that he was sent by the Most High power, was changing the skin from black to white and back to his original flesh. Okay, we're going to go over that in detail. Give me just a moment. Alright, Moses' skin went from black to white. This is going to be in Exodus 4, 6 through 8. And when the Most High said furthermore unto him, Put thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And when he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again, and he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. All right? So that was a great sign that the Most High gave to Moses to show the children of Israel that he truly was sent in the name of the Most High. And he truly had the power of the Most High operating within him. Now, we're also going to deal with leprosy being described as white as snow in Numbers chapter 12. Verses 1 through 15. And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, Hath not the Most High indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Most High heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And the Most High spake suddenly unto Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam, Come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And the Most High came down in the pillar of a cloud, and stood in the door of the tabernacle, and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I the Most High will make myself known unto him in a vision, and I will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and the similitude of the Most High shall be behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of the Most High was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not this sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be one as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed, when he cometh out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried unto the Most High, saying, Heal her now, O power, I beseech thee. And the Most High said unto Moses, If her father had put spit in her face, she should not be ashamed 7 days. Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her be received in again. And Miriam was shut out from the camp 7 days, and the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again. So we see again that the Most High struck someone with leprosy, causing them to become pale, white as snow, without color. That is considered a curse. Like, he cursed her for 7 days. For 7 days, she had leprosy. She was white as snow. Now, we're going to get on to another story. This is 2 Kings chapter 5. Now, Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master, and honorable, because by him the Most High had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. And the Syrians had gone out by the companies, and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. And she said unto her mistress, Would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him in his leprosy. And one went in and told his Lord, saying, Thus and thus says the maid that is of the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment, clothing. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel had read the letter, that he rent his clothes, and said, Am I God, to kill and make alive, that this man does send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. And it was so, when Elijah, the man of the Most High, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come to me now. Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought he would surely come out to me, and stand and call on the name of the Most High, his power, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Are not Abana and Parpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in rage. And his servants came near and spake unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee to do some great thing, wouldest thou not have done it? How much rather then, when he said to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the saying of the man of the Most High power. And his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And he returned to the man of the Most High, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. But he said, As the Most High liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. So Elisha didn't want no money. He refused the money that was being given to him for curing the man of his leprosy, because he knew that it wasn't him that cured him, it was the Most High, as Naaman was obedient to what the Most High told Elijah to tell Naaman. And Naaman said, Shall there not then I pray thee be given to thy servant 2 mules, burden of earth, for thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifices unto other gods, but unto the Most High. And in this thing the Most High pardon thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the hand of Rimmon, when I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Most High pardon thy servant in this thing. And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, a man of the Most High, so Gehazi, the servant of Elijah, the man of the Most High, the prophet of the Most High, said, Behold, my master has spared Naaman this Syrian in not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Most High liveth, I will run after him and take somewhat of him. So this servant of Elijah, Elijah, the man of God, the prophet of the Most High, this servant Gehazi, he devised in his mind that he was going to go after Naaman, this Syrian, and take what he could from him. So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him, and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. My master has sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, 1 talent of silver and 2 changes of garment. And Naaman said, Be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him, and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand and bestowed them in the house, and he let the man go, and they departed. And he went in, and he stood before his master. And Elisha said unto him, Whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, Thy servant went nowhere. And he said unto him, Went not mine heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it not time to receive money, and to receive garments, and olive yards, and vineyards, and sheep, and oxen, and men servants, and maid servants? The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee, and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper, as white as snow. Now, we just established 3 different times that the skin changed from the original color to pale white as snow. So this lets us know that the original people were black. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on after this point, and that will be the next video coming up is going to be about the Egyptian bondage that the Israelites were under, and how the Most High delivered them from that bondage. All right. And we're going to go at a steady pace, but I'm going to try not to do so much in one setting, because I know people's attention span is short, which is a dang shame, but that's the way it is. So it's going to be in parts. So I'll even make a playlist for this one. I haven't made a playlist yet, so I'll go ahead and make a playlist for this once I upload all of these for it. Alright, shalom. Till the next video.